So let's discuss the controversy because, wow. In the book, you discuss the investigation you did in 2004. The CBS had done an investigation of Abu Ghraib, and it made headlines. And you then follow that up, questioning, I'm going to read this, how President George W. Bush handled his National Guard service in the 1970s. The story included documents as sources that could not be verified, including claims that the president didn't show up for National Guard service and so forth and got favorable treatment. Okay, eventually, this story led to your dismissal because you couldn't verify, said CBS, the documents. Do you still stand by that story?
I still stand by that story, and the documents were camouflaged. They were a smokescreen to attack us. It's a fact, it's a proven fact that a young President Bush, a younger George Bush, he got in the National Guard to avoid possibility of going to Vietnam because of his father's influence. That's a fact. It's also a fact that he disappeared for more than a year when he was supposed to be flying for the National Guard. Those aren't even disputed. So it was a true story. Now, those who didn't like the story attacked the story on the documents. I believed in the documents then. I believe in them now, and nobody's ever proven them to be false. Now, it's fair to say, maybe to those who didn't like the story, maybe we didn't do everything we should be. But the central point here is I lost my job and other good pros lost their job because we reported a true story. And what happened is the corporate structure that owns, of course, CBS News caved to pressure from the Bush administration.
Ooh, big accusation then, but, you know, there was an investigation, and that what they sort of did was they didn't exactly fire you. They put you on 60 Minutes and didn't use you. They kind of pushed you out. And
well,
you
they asked me for a while and then suggested that I go.
And your career at CBS was over?
Right.
Was over. You then, in 2007, you filed a $70 million lawsuit against CBS and your old bosses after they let you go. There were many, including your wife, who tried to tell you not to pursue this case. It ended up being thrown out by the courts. You always said, though, it wasn't about the money. It was about
the money. I said going in, whatever money I was to get, I knew it was against the grain, odds against, but if I was to make any money out of it, it would go to some investigative reporting foundation. It was never about the money. It was trying to get at the truth. And I feel good about the lawsuit. We did very well in the lower court, but just before we were to go to trial, the appellate court said, no, it can't do that. Now, we found out a lot of things in the lawsuit because we could get people sworn under oath with depositions and discoveries, such things as the president of CBS News was taking orders from the chief lobbyist for Viacom, the corporation, saying, this is what you need to do to please the Bush administration to
He's
get
no
these
longer
attacks
there,
on.
by the way.
That president of CBS News is no longer there. Now, as a 44-year employee of CBS News, I never would have believed that was possible. That the president of the news division would be working in concert with the chief lobbyist for the corporation. I think it speaks a lot about what's happened to news in my lifetime and yours, and why everybody should care about it.
So what is, I mean, these are very strong accusations you're making that you made. So what are you saying about news?
Well, news has become too corporatized, too politicized, and too trivialized. And by the way, these are not just accusations. These are proven facts. That's what the president of the news division did, evidenced by his emails, which we got in the lawsuit.
Are those investigations going on, say, in times and administrations prior to the Bush administration? And is this something you'd pursue now in making sure that those things in your mind don't happen again in terms of media? What is the responsibility then on your part?
I have a lot of responsibility, and I've been at this a long time, and I'm not perfect. I've made my mistakes, have my flaws. Did it happen in previous administrations? No question that it did. But here's the point. It's gotten worse. Here's what I hope people understand. You know, we all believe that a free and independent, fiercely independent when necessary press is the red beating heart of freedom and democracy.
Yes.
Now what's happened, the corporatizing of our democracy with banks, with insurance companies, and with media companies is much farther along than the public generally knows. There's only about 1/4 of this book that deals with what we've been talking about. But that's the point. That's the thread that weaves through the book. That, and I think how much fighting heart Jeannie Grace Goper, rather, my wife, has had to do with my staying in the business.
Some conservatives say that the media has a liberal bias. Do you agree with that?
No. No. There are plenty of people on the left who think we have a conservative bias, particularly because we work for these large corporations. Is there some bias? Of course there is. There's bias in life.
Are you a liberal yourself?
No.
You're not?
I'm an independent. Fiercely independent. And when it comes to politics, I tend to vote for character. I voted for presidents of both parties.